Thank you, Mr. Gore. Thank you, Mr. Wall. 90%, that's a great, big, ambitious goal.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different than what we're hearing about in places like Washington. How do you think we're going to bridge the gap between 90% reduction in CO2 and some of the other plans that are being bandied about?
Well, some of the lawmakers that have been opponents in the past of doing something on the climate crisis are now endorsing very ambitious goals. So I think it's a sign that we're making some movement. But what Kevin and I are trying to do with the Live Earth Initiative is to get the information out there to everybody, including about the solutions, so that people who go to your site, start getting involved and making changes in their own lives, become a part of a growing mass movement that will put a lot of pressure on politicians in every party to sign the pledge, to be a part of the policy changes that are needed. I think we're beginning to see some real progress.
Well, that kind of leads into my second question. I believe that you're going to get a tipping point among people because they're getting it. We have something on our site called Weird Weather Watch. They're sending in photographs from their backyards of climate change that they're seeing. But there doesn't seem to be the political tipping point yet. When you look at the Democratic and the Republican presidential debates that we saw a few weeks ago, climate change wasn't a big thing. How are we going to get to that political tipping point?
Well, I think it's starting at the grassroots level. 514 U.S. cities with mayors in both parties have now embraced the Kyoto Protocol. A dozen states have now stepped out in front of the national government. The U.S. Senate just passed major energy legislation last week. Congressman John Dingell just made a statement yesterday calling for ambitious CO2 reductions. So I think you're beginning to see, it may not be in the White House yet, but it's at every other level of government, and in the federal governments, it's already in the legislative branch. The Supreme Court had a decision on global warming a few months ago that was very positive. So I think you're beginning to see action that will swamp the White House and carry the White House along with it. And I think by the time this next election comes 500 days from now, you're going to see the candidates in both parties making this their #1 issue.
500 days from now, #1 issue? That is exciting.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.